You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
On today's Total Wellness Tuesday show, what I want to do is I really want to help you be able to figure out when to use which specific type of medicine. Should it be a form of naturopathy? Should it be more functional medicine based? Or should it be conventional medicine? We're going to get into those today. But before we even get started, I want to help make things even simpler. So right now, you can assess most people's goals when they're looking at it from kind of a body transformation perspective into a wellness, a weight loss, and an anti-aging goal. That's what I found in my practice. Most people can fit into one of those specific groups, and that has to, because wellness also has to do with both mental and physical wellness. It's never just the body, and it's never just the mind. We want the whole body, the whole person to be well. But what I want to do is this. I want you to understand that when you go to my website, it says wellness, weight loss, anti-aging. But there's a specific order to do those in. It doesn't matter if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or you're all the way back in your 20s, whatever it might be. Here's the thing. No matter what your goal, if you are more than 20 pounds over your ideal body weight. Now, over your healthy body weight. Sometimes we want to have, a 28-inch waist or whatever it might be, but I'm talking about healthy body weight, okay? So if you're more than 20 pounds away from a healthy body weight, what I want you to do is this. I want you to work on weight loss as your first goal. And I'll tell you this, and I just gave a talk on this. If you lose that 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, whatever it might be, but more than 20 pounds, if you lose that weight, what you need to do in order to lose that weight can honestly help with so many wellness or anti-aging based issues. So what we see every day in my practice is someone works with one of our personal trainers, one of our nutritionists, whatever it might be, and they lose the weight. All of a sudden, the skin issues go away. All of a sudden, the digestive issues go away. All of a sudden, the headaches go away. The blood pressure, the high cholesterol, they go away. We didn't treat those, right? We did not work on those. We worked on the weight. But what happened? Well, what happened was this. The body became better balanced. In order to lose the weight, we had to decrease the inflammation. We had to level back out the blood sugar, and that started to clear up all these other issues. We started to exercise. When we exercised, we could better utilize carbohydrates and glucose. We didn't need to go on a keto-based diet. We did it from a natural-based perspective. So that's why it's very important to me. When I talk about weight loss, I'm talking about it from also a holistic wellness perspective, because I know that if you're 20 plus pounds away from your goal weight, you could be so much healthier, so much happier, and have more energy if you lost that weight. So vanity or not, that doesn't matter to me. If you feel better being 20 pounds less because you look better and that's how you feel, good for you. What I want to do is I want to help you live a longer, healthier, happier life. So what comes after you lose the weight? Well, once you lose that weight, doing a great exercise program, a great nutrition program like our Fatlocity program, or using the Dr. Ball Detox and the maintenance plan, which is the easiest way to do it. Great. So now wellness-based, after you've lost the weight, you're within 5-10 pounds of your ideal body weight. What's next? Well, what's next is making sure from a wellness-based perspective, everything is good. Everything's healthy. And that can be done through functional medicine lab testing or working with a health practitioner, whatever it might be, to fix the remaining digestive issues, the headaches, the skin, the energy, the thyroid, whatever that is. That's when you fix that. And then after that, now we're talking about anti-aging, okay? So you lose the weight. If you've already done that, you're at a healthy weight, good. Now get well. Now, once you've gotten well, stay well, and then start to look to anti-aging based protocols. That's everything looking at your advanced genetics to see what you may be susceptible to in the future, knowing that ahead of time, then starting to customize your diet for you, customizing your exercise plan so they're not overdoing it or underdoing it. And that's just fine tuning. That's all that is. And then, of course, using good nutritional supplements to make sure you live a healthier, longer life. Okay, so now let's give some real world examples. You've lost the weight because you've worked with a qualified personal trainer, nutritionist, health coach, you maybe ran our weight loss testing lab, you've done something, to move in that direction, the Dr. Cabral detox, or just even the smoothie in the morning, whatever gets you to that goal, great. Let's do that. Okay. Now, there's some remaining wellness issues. Something isn't quite right, whether it's an energy-based issue, or whether it's digestive issue, or if it's something we can put our finger on. Like I'm going to give you a specific example today. Now we need to know, how do we treat that? Okay, I'm really going to give you this from an unbiased perspective. I really do help. Now everyone, of course, has some biases. And those biases are sometimes developed by their frame of reference, what they've seen in life. I've just had the unique perspective to see a lot in life. I've seen the conventional, I've seen the functional medicine, I've seen all the holistic, I've seen energy practitioners, I've seen all that. So I've kind of gone on this journey along with a lot of other people. And, it wasn't fortunate at the time that it took me a long time to get well, but now very fortunate looking back on that I can say, wow, if I hadn't gone through everything, if I hadn't seen all these different facets of natural health, I wouldn't really have the perspective I have now. And I wouldn't understand, looking back, that there are more than one way to get well. And so that's what I want to share with you today. So in the beginning, what we have really is something called naturopathy. Okay. Naturopathy is a little bit different than naturopathic doctors, which we have today. And I'm going to qualify and explain that in just a moment. But naturopathy back in the day, we'll say a couple hundred years ago, was called naturopathy or orthopathy. And orthopathy essentially it means in Greek, right suffering or right action. It means how to take actions in life to essentially right the ship, to get better. And so the natural hygienist, and also going back to Ayurvedic times as well, no doubt about it, they used food predominantly as a way to heal the body. So it was based on, physical body type, but it was also based on ailments. And they were very big on this in Germany. And I did a lot of study. I wish I was able to study in Germany. Those were not internships that I was able to set up. In the future, I will absolutely be going to Germany to learn and study with some of the great doctors over there as well, since my education will never stop. My education, yes, literally, I can picture myself right now in my 70s, still traveling the world, learning from the best of the best. People have translated the original Ayurvedic texts, all of those things. For me, it's nonstop, and it's also keeping up with the best of the best, which I'll explain in a moment. But in natural hygienist time, what we did was, and again, so if you want to look up who natural hygienists are, Sylvester Graham, Herbert Shelton, Bernard Jensen, and he wasn't exactly quite natural hygienist, but brilliant doctor, wrote a brilliant book called The Chemistry of Man, plus many, many others. That's a great one. It's a nice, big, thick book, well worth reading. Frank Skoll wrote a bug killer of a book about 708 pages long, which is even too long to read, but it's The Library of Health. And it was the complete guide to prevention and cure of disease, and kind of going down the whole line. And it was literally like a facsimile print that I read for my board examination. That was a great, great book as well. So what do they do though? Basically, they used food, the environment, like hot and cold baths. They did detoxification. They had people get out in the sun and sweat. They used sweat lodges. They got out into the mountains and breathed in fresh air and the negative ions from the environment. They did a lot of fasting, a lot of intermittent fasting as well. But essentially, they were treating the whole person from a nature-based perspective. And it's what they had. There was no specific lab testing. There were lab tests. Believe me, people don't know this, but there were lab tests back 6,000 years ago in Ayurvedic time. They looked at the urine and they looked at the saliva of people, but they looked at it in a very different way. They actually, I'm not going to get into it today, but they would get a urine sample. They would actually drop a little drop of liquid, of oil, and they would see how it would disperse in the urine. Now, people, again, like conventional medicine would shoot that down and say that's ridiculous, but that's why conventional medicine is very closed off, very closed-minded. Because if you look at that, what are they doing? Why are they doing that? Here's why. They're looking at the specific gravity of the urine. And if you're a health practitioner, you know what I'm talking about. You're looking at what's the solute like in that urine. And you're looking at literally the charge. And so anyway, I'm not going to get into that today, but they knew a lot more than we think they did and give them credit for. So naturopathy is really looking at the whole person and using everything that nature has, including herbs, food, fasting, environment, sweating, like panchakama, which is an Ayurvedic term, detoxing the body, especially seasonally. That is why people would get well. So here's what I want to do. They treated the whole person. I want to give the example today of cholesterol. Most people right now know someone who has high cholesterol is on a statin. Honestly, if you're at a table of people 30 years old and above, I'm guarantee you, table of 6 people, at least one of those people will be on a statin. That's just the way it is. And that's scary. But from a naturopathy perspective, to help with cholesterol, they would use fasting. They would use detox. They would use a predominantly vegetarian or vegan diet. They would lower inflammation with hot and cold-based spa treatments. They would use sauna. They would help the patient recover from this high cholesterol in this way and then teach them how to live a naturally healthy lifestyle. Now, the paleo and other people will argue, well, cholesterol has nothing to do with your actual diet. And to that, I would say from a clinical perspective, that's not entirely true. 26% of the population does not do well on a high saturated fat or high cholesterol diet. And that's backed up by science. So just because some people do totally fine and don't raise their cholesterol levels based on eggs and things with cholesterol, some people do because there is no one all-for-one diet. But in naturopathy, they would say, well, if we put someone on a vegetarian-based diet or like an Ornish-based diet, then that person's cholesterol would go down. And for the most part, that's completely true, as long as they're not eating a lot of processed foods too, because you don't have to eat foods with cholesterol to raise cholesterol. You can eat processed foods like processed flour, and that also raises cholesterol and triglycerides. But just keep in mind, a couple hundred years ago, they didn't have this processed food. They didn't have to deal with those specific issues. All right, I want to move on. So that's how they would help someone with cholesterol in that perspective. Now, in 2017, of course, this goes back a bit as well. So there's naturopathic doctors, and then there's naturopathic doctors right now. So like when you go to a naturopathic doctor, not a naturopath, but a naturopathic doctor, not one is better than the other. So please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just qualifying this. So the naturopaths would be in the first category. Naturopathic doctors and functional medicine doctors or functional medicine practitioners are in this category. Now, what they're doing is they're using state-of-the-art lab testing. So they're using the cholesterol, the lipid panels. They're doing the hormone panels for DHEA, testosterone, high cortisol. They're looking at estrogen and progesterone. They're looking at all these great things. And with that, they're doing a big health history intake. So they're doing at least 60 minutes to 90 minutes. They're getting a person's whole story. So they're looking at them as an individual. Now, keep in mind, not all naturopathic doctors are the same. Not all functional medicine practitioners are the same, because you go through this finite period of time of training, 2 years, 4 years, whatever it might be. Or you do an internship, which my internship was 2,400 hours. That's a lot. That's a lot of hours to do. That's a full year of more than full-time work. But a lot of doctors stop reading after they get out of college, like the majority, 99 out of 100. So if all you did was learn in college, in medical school or naturopathic school, like that's it. Your education stopped. And then what? Like there's a lot more to learn. You can't learn everything in 300 books. Like that's just not the way it works. So anyway, some naturopathic doctors and some functional medicine practitioners use bioidentical hormones, which a naturopath wouldn't do. Naturopathic doctors will use vitamins, herbs, neurotransmitters. Basically, they'll use everything at their disposal. So a naturopathic doctor or functional medicine practitioner is essentially looking at, they're more of an integrative practitioner using a very state-of-the-art model, really looking at research. Based on research, what should we be doing? Really, really amazing as well. So when they look at cholesterol, you would say, okay, let's lab test for cholesterol. Okay, well, we have high LDL, we have maybe low HDL, and we have high total cholesterol. Oh, okay, we also have high triglycerides. Well, that might mean that this person's also taking in a very large amount of fructose, which is processed food. Oh, okay, this is making sense. Maybe this person really doesn't have a genetic-based issue with this, but they're just taking in too many processed carbs. However, why don't we do this? Let's also do a genetic test to look at their ApoE blood type. And if they have a 4 allele, well, then this person is not going to do very well with high cholesterol, high saturated fat foods. So for this person, I need to approach this with a little bit more of a Mediterranean-based diet or a little bit more of a vegetarian or vegan-based diet, okay? And that can be based on the patient as well, because we want to do what's realistic for that patient as well. And again, people practice in different ways. But what else could raise high cholesterol? Well, maybe they have heavy metals and that's causing oxidation and inflammation. Maybe this person has high cortisol and they're running on a catabolic side, so the body's breaking down very quickly. So the body, with all of its genius and brilliance, actually produces cholesterol in a very positive manner because it's trying to keep up with hormone requirements to produce more cortisol, because cortisol comes after cholesterol. You don't make cortisol without making cholesterol. You don't make testosterone. You don't make progesterone. You don't make estrogen. You don't make DHEA. You don't make aldosterone. You don't make any of these hormones without cholesterol. So if you have a great call for it, well, your body might amp up or ramp up the cholesterol. Many different reasons why. But what a functional medicine doctor will do is look at omega-3 levels. They'll look at heavy metals. They'll look at food sensitivity testing. They'll look at those hormones I just talked about, and they'll look at genetics. You don't have to run all of them, but they'll choose the right one for you, or you can choose it and get it yourself. So then after that, after they figure out what it is, they look for that underlying root cause. They'll then implement a lot of those things that I just talked about from naturopathy: food, diet, all of those things, detoxification. They'll help someone. Then they'll look at their labs again and say, oh, look, now we lowered your cholesterol levels. You are now a healthy human being. Let's just make sure we lab test every 6 to 12 months to make sure that yours doesn't go up in the future. And that is anti-aging. So, I mean, it's brilliant. So essentially what I do is I practice functional medicine. And I also practice the old school Ayurvedic. Old school, again, that's not discrediting it because it's brilliant in its own way. So my job as a health practitioner is not to say any one form of medicine is better than another. It's not. You need to know when this person walks into your office or sees you on Skype, I can't make this person fit into my box. I need to make sure that they get the best treatment possible for them. And that means I'm going to help them not with a cookie cutter model, but with a model that best satisfies their needs. And that means in my practice, if I feel acupuncture, or if I feel active release technique, or if I feel some type of chiropractic work is best for this person, I'm going to add that as part of my protocol. But since I'm not the specialist in that, I just know about it, but I don't specialize in it, then I send out and I use my network of people to say, you know what, this would also be a great adjunct to your overall personalized wellness plan. So hopefully that makes sense. That's all part of one big thing. And I love all forms of medicine, but I'm really more of a science guy at heart. I like analytics. I'm a very skeptical person. I do have to say that, but you can't convince me of anything if your argument is strong enough and you can back it up. You can prove it. That's all I care about. Because my job is to tell people the truth. My job is to help people in any way possible. That's it. So I don't think naturopathic doctors are the best. I don't think functional medicine doctors are the best. I don't think old school naturopathy is the best. I don't think any of these practices are the best. What I say is this: how can we help this person the most? And then let's use that. Okay, so last up, now we have conventional medicine. What does conventional medicine do? Well, everybody knows this because everybody has pretty much a PCP or an MD that they go to. So this is not talking about integrative medical doctors that truly do practice functional medicine or know about Ayurvedic medicine. But most MDs, keep in mind, I have MDs in my own practice as my own private wellness clients because I work with their health because they don't know about this to help them. You can't know about something you've never been taught, right? So in medical school, less than 5% of all medical schools do nutrition is even one course out of 4 years. One course. How insane is that? The most important thing that we do for our bodies is put food in it. That's it. But yet it's not taught in medical school. So how can a medical doctor teach you about eating healthy if they're not taught it? It's just the way it is. So it's not the MD's fault, not at all. It's the American medical system. It's our medical system is not doing the job of preparing adequately our doctors to talk about nutrition, to talk about exercise, to talk about the things that really matter. I don't like those commercials that say, when diet and exercise isn't enough. Diet and exercise is always enough. You have to look at it. Now, nutritional supplements count as that part of that diet because that's part of it. If your body's missing something, we need to put it back in for a temporary period of time. I've never seen anyone, and most of my colleagues haven't either, where someone can't be helped by natural medicine unless it's a congenital based issue, meaning you were born with it, meaning you were born with less valves in the heart, meaning that you were born with some type of actual physical deformity, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but born in a way that didn't allow you to actually function cardiovascularly or pulmonary based or brain based, whatever it might be, in a certain way. And that's a different story. I'm not talking about that because there's a time and place for everything. What I'm talking about is when you go into your doctor, your PCP, And all they run is blood work. They don't run saliva. They don't run urine. They don't run hair. And they say, oh, well, there's no science behind that. There is science behind that. They just haven't read the science behind it because it's been there for decades. And also, if you don't advise on the diet and exercise, well, all you have left are pharmaceuticals. Again, not the MD's fault, because by insurance and by malpractice, if you come in with high cholesterol, you have to be prescribed a statin. Why? Because that doctor is liable. Let's say you come in with cholesterol of 315. That's still very treatable from a natural health perspective. But you come in with cholesterol 315, and you're maybe have high homocysteine, maybe you have high CRP, your doctor's worried that you could have a heart attack. Something could happen. So they give you a statin. That's what they know to do. And also, what if they didn't give you a statin? They're liable, right? So it's not their fault. I don't want to blame any MDs because I work with so many. And MDs, to be honest, are doing their best to help you as well. It's just not suited in this capacity, especially since most appointments are at max 15 minutes long. For example, I just had an MD in my office the other day. We're chatting back and forth. He says to me, and again, most MDs do, they're like, I really want to be able to use this in my practice, but there's no way I can because my average appointment is 15 minutes long. And on my best days, I see 12 people. And on my worst days, I can see up to 25 people. 25 people in one day with an average of somewhere between 16 and 20 people on an average day. I mean, what kind of quality of care can you give someone? You can't, because they have to take notes for insurance. They do all these things. So it's not the MD's fault. It's the system's fault. But when you go in with high cholesterol, you're walking out with one thing, and that's a statin, a prescription for a statin. That does nothing to look at the underlying root causes, which might be inflammation, the heavy metals, the poor diet, whatever. It might be a lot of different things. But the statin is just going to mask the symptoms. It's going to bring down your cholesterol. And unless you're one of the rare cases where your cholesterol is like 700, and that's fast as well, meaning you're an 8-year-old child with one of the 0.001 types of cholesterol where it's just off the charts. Again, this isn't you, Most people who have this will never hear this podcast, unfortunately. But those are the only people that we want to look at medical intervention for that. Now, to wrap this up, you can't do nothing. I know that's a double negative, but here's the thing. A lot of people will say, well, I don't want to take a statin, but you have to take a statin unless you lower your cholesterol another way. Meaning that if your cholesterol is 315 and you have high homocysteine, you have higher CRP, there's a lot of issues. You can't pretend it's not there. So you have to do something. So you need to choose from the just food, environment only, just the old naturopathy, or you can do the functional medicine, naturopathic doctor route, or you can do the conventional medicine route. You have to know yourself. And if you know yourself and you know that you're not going to change your nutrition, it doesn't mean you need to be perfect every day. I'm not saying that either. What it means is that you need to eat well 9 out of 10 times, or at least until you get your cholesterol numbers down, and then you find out what your body can handle. And again, substitute cholesterol for anything. Autoimmune, skin rash, migraine, energy, substitute it for anything you want. I just gave you an example today. I'm telling you right now, though, know yourself, figure yourself out, but also think about where you're at in your life. If you're not able to make a change right now, well, you might have to go the conventional medicine route because you can't pretend it's not there. But what I tell you is this. Work on your mindset. Listen to the Mindset Motivation Monday podcast. Get yourself prepared. Get yourself ready. Make a change. You have one body. As far as we all know, we have one life. I know, again, we need to be proven different, I guess, but hope for the best, but make the most of this life. And I'm telling you right now, if you make some subtle changes, they can create an amazing cascade of events in your life where you become truly healthy. You really do. And you don't even know what that feels like until you do get healthy. And I'm a perfect example of that. And I see people in my practice every day. Woman came in today, my last appointment of the day, really grateful. And it was a great last appointment. And she's healed and she's crying in my office. And we're both all choked up because she said 2 years ago, I didn't know if life was worth living anymore. I didn't know if I wanted to go on. And it was a powerful moment for the both of us because I'm just doing my job. I truly care about people, but I'm saying okay, this is what's going on. This is how I'm going to help you. And I really try to keep it straightforward so that I don't get wrapped up in the, everything that could happen, to this person. I just want to say, I can help you. This is what I've seen. This is what I want to do. But the truth is that you can accomplish amazing things in your life. Really, we all have that ability to change. Sometimes it's faster than others. It really is. And we don't always know. But what we do know, in the end, it's always worth it. So I just urge you today that even if you're on pharmaceuticals, even if you're going the conventional medicine route, maybe next week, maybe even tomorrow, or maybe it's not for a year from now, but start to move forward. Start to make some changes so that you can start to change from a natural-based perspective. And then you might just find out that you don't even need the pharmaceuticals, that your body rebalances on its own from just doing something like a smoothie in the morning, doing a seasonal detox, doing these things that gets the body healthier. I could talk about this all day, but I'm going to keep the podcast there for today. Really do appreciate all of your listens. And if this podcast today made sense, and other people in your life, don't really know what naturopathic medicine is or functional medicine is or any of these things, if you could pass this show along to them, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great day. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.